Welcome back to the garage here at Basin Motorsports. I'm Canaan, and today I'm going to show you how to do a drain and fill on the rear end in a Corvette. So the model we're working on here is a C5 Corvette, the 5th generation that goes from 1997 to 2004. If you never put a Corvette, or especially a C5 specifically, up on jack's hands to support it, I'll throw a video up here in the top right of your screen linking you over so you can see how to lift and support one before you get started. Now once you get everything started, I have taken the wheels off just to make sure that I have plenty of access to everything, and it also helps with filming. Alright, so I just opened up my Haynes manual, and it says for every 60,000 miles, the third item down is to replace the rear differential lubricant, which is section 27. Now this vehicle does have approximately 61,000 miles on it, so this is going to fall in line right there with the 60,000 mile fluid. That's what we're going to do. Alright, so we are underneath the car now, and I'm sitting at the back. So what you see here, rear suspension cross member, sway bar, and if you go just above that where the X is, that is the rear differential. Now there's going to be two plugs you're interested in this is going to be the fill plug. If I show you to the right, you can see that it is a hex bit that goes in there, and directly underneath you can see that this is the rear leaf spring, again the suspension member, and directly between them is a similar hex drain plug. You're going to use a hex bit to go into that. So before we drain this, what I want to do is loosen up the fill plug to make sure that if I drain it out, I can fill it. So I can just take this loose to make sure it comes out, or I can completely take it out if I want to at this point. But let's get this started taking that loose, and then we'll drain the fluid out. Alright, now this is going to take a 10 millimeter bit for a hex bit to go in there. And before I get too crazy taking this out, I typically take a brush. Now I just use a toothbrush, an old toothbrush, just to kind of clean around this. So you can see, you can actually read that it says limited slip only, and everything's cleaned out. Now cleaning the dirt off is going to make sure that when you go to put fluid back in, you don't contaminate it by pushing dirt back in by accident. So just clean it up now while it's easy and sealed, and then when you're ready, you can go ahead and loosen it up as you need to. And once it's loose, it's fine. Just leave it alone until it's all drained out, and then you can worry about taking the plug out, filling it, and then putting it right back in. Alright, so when you're ready, go ahead and take out the drain plug on the bottom. Now, you're going to see it kind of glug, 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 just because the fill plug is not all the way taken out, so air is going to have to go into the bottom. But you can clean out your drain plug, see if there's any kind of shavings or anything else in there. This looked pretty good, and the fluid is actually still kind of a golden brown versus a dark, dark brown, which is what I expected, as I don't think it had ever been changed at 30,000 miles when it should have the initial time. Now, if you have to get this done pretty quick, I would recommend running the car, driving it around the block or whatever you need to do, or you can go ahead and run it on the jack stands. Just run it for a minute or two with it in gear so that it's cycling the gears and the fluid, and it'll be nice and warm. If you don't have to rush, you don't necessarily need to drive it beforehand, but make sure that it's a fairly warm afternoon. I think right now we're in the mid-50s, which is great because it allows the oil to flow out pretty easily. Now, if it's even colder than that, you can always just take the plug out, leave it go, and give it a good hour or so and let it drain out as much as possible. All right, when everything has drained out, put the drain plug back in, and it goes into 26 foot-pounds. 26 foot-pounds is what tighten it to if you're going to use it. Otherwise, just don't over tighten it. Now I can take out the fill plug, set it aside, and now I need to fill into my fill plug until it spills out. There's some different types out there, but what it calls for is a 75W90, and I'm going to use the AMSOIL Severe Gear, which is the Easy Pack Fill. So this is kind of like a fluid bag. You could just put the nozzle in there and give it a squeeze, and it'll fill it in there. Now the differential is supposed to take 1.82 quarts. So each of these bags is 1 quart, so I'll take one of these and then a little over 3/4 of the next, till it spills out of the differential hole, and then I can just wipe it up, put the fill plug back in, and the job is done. Alright, we are completely filled. Took most of the second bag as expected, and you can see it's dripping down now, and it's already come dripping down here. So one of the things you'll notice is that this area underneath where you've got a wiring harness and other things is now going to have gear oil on it. So once you put your fill plug back in, remember 26 foot-pounds or just good and tight, make sure you clean this area, that way you don't have a perpetual drip until it's done. So clean up just some cleaner or some wipes or anything else, but get that cleaned up and your differential will be serviced. Now once you have all your plugs in, everything else, make sure you clean everything up and your differential is completely serviced. That's good for at least another 30,000 miles. And if you count, you know, you don't drive it too hard or you kind of drive it in good weather, you can extend that out to maybe something like 60. But you can always just double check it, take the fill plug out. You can put your finger down there, kind of get it out, look at it. If it's nice, clean, clear fluid and it's not very dark, you can probably run extended mileage on that. Otherwise, if you need to do this, very simple, easy to do. There are no filters. It's a drain, fill, tighten it up, 26 foot-pounds, and you're good to go. Now, if you need anything else done on your Corvette, well, check out this series. I'm doing a complete overhaul on all the fluids on the Corvette, plus a lot of modifications. So check back to the channel, and we'll see you next time.